90.7 KPFK, Los Angeles.
Russia, if you're listening.
Talk show, random, political, outrageous, philosophical, analytical, passionate, sunsets, roadkill cooking tips, open-minded, swordsman, bent, resolute, chocolate, bushwhacker, belt buckles, investigative, companion, fearless. Call in, piercing the cloud of mainstream entertainment. It's the Cary Harrison Files.
And it is the Cary Harrison Files. Welcome. Glad to have you aboard. Well, we're going to have some interesting fun today. Many people are very paranoid about the following. Actually, you should be paranoid about many of the following, but we won't even get into half that following. You're already there. What can I say? While corporate media is busy waving its AI panic flag like a Times Square billboard, we're going to dig into what's really driving job loss, hiring freezes, and that creeping sense that your diploma is about as useful as a floppy disk. Connor Smith is going to join us to dismantle the narrative, decode the hype, and expose how fears become the most profitable industry of all. Then we're going to open up the phones. We're going to explore the reality of tens of thousands of people now dating AI chatbots. Ooh, hot, huh? Maybe you are, and you don't even know it is a chatbot. Is this trend a symptom of technology evolving too fast, or are humans adapting too slowly? Well, we're going to get into that. But first, here we are, standing ankle deep in the digital swamp where everyone's screaming that artificial intelligence has already packed up your job, pawned your desk chair, and is now driving a self-updating Tesla down the corporate fast lane. According to the prophets of doom at The Atlantic, at PBS, formerly part of the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, CBS, formerly part of CBS, now part owner by Donald Trump, Axios, and all of their syndicated cousins, AI is basically the four horsemen. It's wrapped into one algorithmic burrito. Your career? Over. Your future? Automated. Your retirement plan? Uploaded into the cloud and promptly deleted. Except it isn't. Not yet, anyway. Connor Smith, writing for FAIR, that's Fairness in Accuracy and Reporting, actually bothered to read the evidence instead of licking the panic-flavored headlines. Turns out AI hasn't stolen nearly as many jobs as the narrative machine wants you to believe. But if you've noticed, Washington's economic policies, you know, the ones gutting entry-level hiring faster than you could say paid internship, well, they don't get the same headlines. Convenient, right? Coincidence? Absolutely. It keeps you terrified of robo-replacements, so you don't ask why you're still living on ramen while the Dow is breaking champagne corks all over itself. Like Lewinsky's blue dress. The real joke? Corporate media's making fear the new growth sector. Fear of AI. Fear of obsolescence. Fear that some algorithm knows more about your worth than you do. And while the talking heads promise imminent apocalypse, the actual disruption, when it arrives, won't ask your permission. By then, you're going to be too busy scanning Indeed for entry-level philosopher, 4 years experience required, $13 an hour. So today, we've got Connor Smith, a man willing to call out this techno-hysteria while peeling back the ideological duct tape corporate media slaps over policy failures. He's in Brooklyn. Connor Smith, a graduate student in economics at John Jay College and co-host of the podcast, The History Onion. Connor Smith, I want to welcome you to the Cary Harrison Files.
Thanks for having me.
Glad to have you here, and it's good to have somebody who's not 500,000 years old try to tell us about AI, because it's a waste of time. You, my friend, you have come up to the conclusion that AI is an appealing story to tell, both to audiences and news outlets. Why is that?
Yeah, so I think that AI is easy for a lot of people to fear in the same way that we might fear an alien invasion. And it's this like large enemy that people can get behind as something that is doing many evil things. And specifically in the story that I was covering and that I was trying to pull apart, at least to some degree, that it's attacking jobs and the labor market for especially entry level recent college grads. So I think this is a very appealing story just because it's very scary, it's very sensationalistic, it has all the sort of attributes that the media loves.
Let's jump in here, Connor Smith, because you are in within the age range, as we say in LA. Nobody actually has an age in LA. You have an age range. I play between 40, but you are of the age range where this matters, where you come out of college with a master's or whatever, and you are ready to go kick ass, become CEO of a large corporation, take over, and in 1 year you're a multimillionaire, just like they promised. But it's not AI blocking you. It's the fact that it seems corporations are using the pretext of imminent clobbering robots to simply save a whole lot of money and not hire anybody.
I think, yeah, I think a lot of what's going on is that the companies that are laying off a lot of people right now are telling the media that they're laying people off because of AI. And I think a lot of these companies are tech companies. They're in a sector that's seeing just a general pullback in hiring because of overhiring during the pandemic. And so instead of saying we made a bad business decision in 2022, somewhere around there, instead they're saying that we basically just need to replace young workers with AI because AI is so good now that it can replace workers. I do think that probably that is some of what is happening, that AI is replacing some entry-level workers and recent college grads, but I'm very skeptical about the idea that this is certainly that it's currently a bloodbath, or that it's going to be a bloodbath over the next couple of years.
Cary Harrison with you. This is the Cary Harrison Files. We happen to be streaming right now on both Substack and YouTube. Really anything with a chip and a signal, you can simply Google Cary Harrison, Cary, Harrison like Cary Grant, Cary Harrison Substack, or Cary Harrison YouTube. And this way we can stay connected when you arrive at your destination. Just switch over to your mobile device. You can also find us right now still at kpfk.net. At some point, the station's going to launch their own unique channel. We're going to migrate over there. It's going to be a lot of fun. Don't forget to sign up for our newsletter at caryharrison.com. caryharrison.com. There, you're going to get a transcript of this entire show. It's going to break down the whole conversation, plus access to clips and stuff we simply cannot do on the radio. And that is our newsletter at caryharrison.com. We're talking right now to Connor Smith, graduate student of economics at John Jay College, co-host of the History Onion podcast. Connor's recent reporting for fairness, inaccuracy, and reporting takes a scalpel to the corporate media's favorite bedtime story, that artificial intelligence is stealing every job in sight, and maybe it will. Why not? I mean, we know it could happen very easily, but it ain't done so yet. And it's being used as an excuse for why the jobs are vanishing. He's arguing that the real threat isn't the robotics, it's the policies coming out of Washington that are quietly strangling entry-level hiring while the media keeps you distracted with AI panic. And right now we're unpacking the hype, the headlines, and the hidden hands behind this narrative. Notice all the alliterations. I feel, I don't know, self-satisfied by that. It's true, Connor Smith. We have right now, 6 months ago, people had heard of AI but couldn't tell you what it was. They'd heard of ChatGPT. They'd say it, they couldn't tell you what it was. And now there's a new narrative where it is this ubiquitous force clobbering jobs. We've already forgotten that Elon Musk went in with a chainsaw, metaphorically, and wiped out a third of the government, all the infrastructure, the Department of Education, working on Medicare, Social Security, really all of the things that the live humans need, including yesterday I met a woman at a kava bar who studied and got a master's in, State Department stuff, and they're absolutely not hiring. So the thing that she has expertise in, which is dealing with Chinese and other potential foes and learning how to master the art of cutting deals, real ones, not writing a fake book about it. There is nothing for her. It is like crickets on a hot cement sidewalk. So she's now a substitute teacher and a bartender. So that part we've all forgotten. We think AI took her gig. No, it did not.
Yeah, it maybe only in the limited sense that when Elon was coming in with Doge, the Doge employees and Elon were trying to use as much AI as possible to comb through all the different government agencies to find what to cut. So maybe the AI decided to cut her job, but it's not actually the thing that's replacing her. It's probably what's replacing her is just, or what's in her place is just a much worse civil service and a worse outlook for the U.S. In the world, and making deals that actually would lead to a more peaceful world, for example.
So there is some truth, I imagine, at least a kernel of truth. It might be a sergeant. It might be a general of truth. It might be spelled any way we want so that it sounds like colonel. How much of that is there to the narrative about AI stealing jobs from recent college grads?
I think so. When I wrote the article, I was leaning pretty heavily against the idea that AI was taking many jobs, if really any, in like a significant quantity. I think actually that since then, and I tried to sort of in the piece give my uncertainty in that a statement about how much AI is having an effect, because we're in such an early stage, and because of recent revisions to the jobs numbers for the last several months, we can't really say much definitively. And there's actually a new paper out that came out literally just like 3 days ago that does give a little bit more quantitative evidence to this idea that AI is taking some jobs. But I think basically it might be taking some for this specific subset of workers who are new college grads, but it's very unlikely to be the main story here, which is sort of the way that the media had been presenting it and still continues to really present it. Instead, probably the main drivers of this job loss, particularly for new college grads, are things like tariffs and the cuts to federal spending, federal job cuts, and especially with tariffs, the uncertainty that adds to the economy. So companies don't necessarily want to hire entry-level workers that they have to invest in if they don't know what their costs are going to be in a few months. And that is probably much more important than AI.
Right. AI doesn't eat. It doesn't take vacations. It doesn't. I'm trying to find the politest way to say it. It doesn't create great gaseous borborygms that fill a room and clear this. It just doesn't have human stuff. It has no needs. It has no wants. It just eats. Talk about consumer. It eats. And then it can take over in some ways. I will tell you, with the tariffs, just to illustrate your point, I was in Switzerland over the summer. I was there on Swiss National Day, which is August 1st. It's like their 4th of July. And at 11:59 p.m. the night before, the tariffs were announced for Switzerland, 37%. They waited until our version of the 4th of July, Swiss National Day, to let the entire nation know that their business would halt. They export all the watches that are considered half decent. So have a great holiday, folks. And boy, there were just long faces. They don't smile anyway over there, so it was even worse. The level of humor, which is 0, was -5. And all of this was this calculated, really cynical, mean smack across the face. I think folks your age get it in ways that people who are older, who still are saying, it can't happen here. It'll never happen here. But never here. No, that was my grandfather in World War II. I think you guys maybe see it differently.
Yeah, I think we have come of age in a period of a lot of political instability, and the wrong side, the more authoritarian side, is actually the side that's really winning this time in a clearer way than, for instance, was the case in the 60s. I don't think that it was as I think although the chaos was probably was definitely worse in the 60s in a lot of ways, with, for example, the level of assassinations that were happening to political figures. Right now, it's just sort of a depressing time of watching the Democratic Party, sort of the amount that remains of its courage just be sapped at the same time as the Republican Party continues its march forward. And that was the tide just couldn't have shifted so rapidly back in the 60s when the Democrats had been so dominant for so many years. Now the Democrats are sort of, and there's this basically feeling, I think, among young people that, well, the liberal side is sort of doomed, and the authoritarian right sort of just seems to have its time. I think there's reason to be optimistic about pushing it back against that. But yeah, I think we're just like grown up. We've grown up in a much different sort of political environment than a lot of previous generations.
We're talking to Connor Smith, and he's a graduate student of economics at John Jay College, co-host of the History Onion podcast. We've been primarily talking about his recent report in Fairness and Accuracy in Reporting, which takes a scalpel to the corporate media's favorite bedtime story that artificial intelligence has actually stolen all the jobs that you no longer see. And we find out that it's actually the government stopped hiring, corporations stopped hiring because they can't hire live humans that have 401ks, that have health insurance when the tariffs go up and down, and nobody can plan for the future. Therefore, you don't plan for the future. And you, the job seeker, are the future. But we're not allowed to have this conversation. That's why we're having it right here, right now, uniquely. Thanks to Connor Smith. And I would ask you, in your age, I have no idea what's your age range? What age range do you play?
I play maybe 25 to 30. I'm 26.
Okay. He plays 25 to everyone in LA will go, okay, I get that. So you never grew up with Mayor Daley of Chicago, the original one, or the old swaggering, but you know about them historically anyway, to some degree.
To some degree, yes.
Yeah. The Democratic Party once had a spine. It was even erect. It was something to see. And now we have the opposite. And I imagine your age range from 25 to 30 is going, but isn't this party supposed to defend all of us and stand? I mean, you're yelling as loud as anybody else. What do you think the reason is? Because we're all asking the question, why the absolute flaccidity in doing something that's so obvious in front of them? What do you think it is?
I think, it's hard to pinpoint it exactly, because it is actually a little bit surprising just how bad it is, how flaccid the Democratic Party is in response to what's happening currently. But I do think it's the outgrowth of this sort of triangulating politics of the Clinton administration in the 90s, and the sort of general rightward shift of the Democratic Party from the New Deal party of the 30s through the 60s to the more Clintonite party from the 90s. Well, really from the 70s or the 80s through today. Clintonite's not necessarily the best term to use for before Clinton came to office, but it certainly started this rightward shift back before him, sometime in the 70s. And I think that there's this idea that basically you need to appeal to all these right-leaning voters and get them on your side. So I think a lot of this is about that sort of the very calculated decision to try to appeal to those voters that started back during the 70s. And that is now embodied actually a lot in the popularist ideas about elections and how to run campaigns, that you need to run campaigns based on like maybe AI assisted data analysis of the beliefs of the general population, and you need to basically attune yourself exactly to where the wind is blowing in every given moment. And I think that that's a very unhelpful way of approaching politics, but it's one that leads to, I think, a lot of paralysis and flaccidity in opposing the authoritarian opposition.
Wow. I'm looking at the feedback, and that was an answer none of us was expecting. It was a cool glass of water in a parched desert of nothingness. And I thank you for that. I'm just shaking my arms and splattering water all over the floor. That was awesome. We're talking right now to Connor Smith, graduate student of economics at John Jay College, co-host of the History Onion podcast. We've been talking a bit about his recent report, talking about why jobs apparently are disappearing, all being blamed on AI. It's not quite there yet. And let's talk a little bit, Connor Smith, about what AI is for people that don't love it as much as you and I love it, hate it. And we're going to open up the phones a little later about people who are having affairs, relationships, deep, meaningful relationships with AI. They don't really believe it, but it really is a machine. So congratulations. And I know some people are embarrassed. They're like, is he talking about me? I am. And we're going to open the phones. We're going to talk about that and pull the lid off of that. But let's just kind of get a little bit into AI. One, it's code. It's binomial equations. It's zeros and ones. It doesn't have feelings. It can mimic things like that. But the code is written by, we don't know. That's my favorite part. Wait a minute. Who wrote the code? We don't know. So it could be a lovely incel living in his mother's basement surrounded by mushrooms. Not that she's growing them. It's just that there hasn't been light in there for 40 years. 800 dented cans of old beer piled up on the wall. But he writes code. He can run a keyboard. We don't know if he was abused. We don't know if he pulls the wings off of flies. We don't actually care, because he can write great code. In that code, in some way, it's going to mirror the personality of the code writer. This is not exact science, but it's true. If I write a story, I'm in that story one way or the other. If I'm doing news, as unbiased as I wish to be, it's still through the prism of my personal life experience, including the choice of the story. I'm not going to pick something that's not interesting to me. Why is it interesting? Well, I've had X amount of experiences in life that made that particular thing interesting. So there's going to be code bias, and therefore the AI is going to have a certain attitude that we may not see, but holy cow, that's ubiquitous and global.
Yeah, I think you can. The most obvious example of the code bias is Elon Musk's chatbot, Grok, which was declaring itself Mecha Hitler not too long ago. This generally, like, with chatbots, I think a useful way of thinking about them is that they're sort of souped up autocorrect. This is a way that I've heard people describe them that I think is very useful, because essentially they're trying to predict in a statistical fashion what word comes next, and they're doing this based on their training data, which can be just like a lot of the internet. They seem to be very loose with copyright laws in trying to obtain information for this training data. So AI becomes very knowledgeable, but essentially it's just functioning this way of like souped up autocorrect that makes it sort of a miracle that it actually works, but means that it also doesn't work fully. It hallucinates a lot. It makes up a lot of stuff, so it can't be fully trusted. And when you have people coming in and deciding explicitly to design AI in particular ways, you do get very, very biased AI chatbots that can lead to all sorts of issues.
I appreciate you getting all geeky with me. That used to be a bad thing. If you called someone a geek, it literally was a circus term for the guy that bit the heads off of chickens. but now it's a little more elegant. So I appreciate your going down that rabbit hole with me. One of the things that I love about AI, and it just helps people understand it. So if you're multitasking right now, cigarette hanging out of your mouth, maybe the wig over one eye, smeared red lipstick, box of Domino's pizza melting over your leg, and a can of beer crushed in your hand, watching a soap opera, half listening to this, we're going to explain a little bit about how it works so that you know what AI is a little bit better. So one of the things it does when you put in a prompt, which is what we call, if you're talking to ChatGPT, for instance, or Gemini, or whatever you like to use, you write in, tell me why Richard Nixon didn't have hair on either, whatever, and it will come up with an answer. Its answer is literally everything that exists on the internet. That means Mildred's cooking tips on how to keep the Teflon from getting too baked by evaporating water and butter. That includes people's fantasy opinions on UFOs. It literally takes everything that exists, synthesizes it, and tries to put it in your answer. This is why Connor's saying it hallucinates, because it's pulling everything. It is not the World Book Encyclopedia pulling what we would consider verified facts. Because guess what? There is no editor-in-chief of the internet. That's right. There's no adult going, oh, no, you can't publish that. It's bullshit. It doesn't exist. Oh, no. Please publish it. It's beautiful. So AI literally scrapes 100% of nonsense. And that includes, and this is where Elon Musk comes into the picture, unlike Google, which is still somewhat independent, X, formerly known as Twitter, not independent. What did Elon Musk buy? Did he buy a social media platform? No. He bought the data. The data is you and me and all the humans on Earth. And his AI is him. It talks like him, it thinks like him, and it will even remove things that say unkind things about maybe somebody in the White House if it wants to. And it will spit out whatever it's supposed to. So there's one that is absolutely geared to do what its master, its owner, tells it to do. All that to say, and I'm throwing it to you in a second, Connor. I'm just very long-winded today, and I appreciate your patience. If you type in a prompt like, let's say Viking, the word Viking, tell me about Vikings. AI sees Vi and king as two separate ideas. So they're called tokens. It doesn't see Viking. It sees king. So it could be the king of France, the king of England, the king of Spain. It could see king. Or it can see it as kind of a suffix or a gerund. It doesn't know yet. And Vi, it doesn't see Viking. It sees Vi could be Viagra. It could be Vi for viaduct. It could be whatever Vi could possibly be. So it's trying to figure out Vi, and it's trying to figure out king. And it uses a lot of power to do that. We won't even get into ecology and electricity. Boy, that's a whole separate nightmare. But that's how it thinks. So it comes up figuring out Vi for Viagra, king for the king of France, but you don't mean that. You mean the one with the horns in the boat coming somewhere. And unless you tell it with specificity, it's going to make stuff up that feels close, and close doesn't work. Am I kind of close there?
Yeah, I think that all sounded accurate to me. To the extent that I fully understand how these things work. Also, I think they get very complicated once you get into the weeds of them. But the one of the interesting bits about like what you're talking about with the just pulling all the information from the internet is like, we do know to some degree what sources they use. So we do have a sense of how much of the sources, how much of the information that they're using is fairly unreliable. And actually, from the studies that I've seen on this, it seems like a top source very consistently is Reddit. And we all, I think, know sort of the skepticism that you should bring to reading Reddit posts about any given topic. And yet this is sort of what you're getting from talking to a chatbot and trying to learn from it. We also with chatbots, we know they aggregate a lot of data, and so that means you can basically, if you train them or if you sort of ask them very specifically, you can get much better answers. But I think it's very easy for people to get misled when using them. And, obviously, like with the issue of bias, you can have chatbots pull more from supposedly unbiased sources from like Elon Musk's perspective, but which are actually just much more inaccurate sources, and so that can lead to all sorts of issues with the answers that you get from these chatbots.
I appreciate your joining us today. By the way, let me give shout outs to all the people watching the live stream. We've gotten some brilliant comments. Thank you, Chris, on YouTube. Thank you, everyone else who's we're keying them up over the video. You can see the video simply by Googling Cary, C-A-R-Y, like Cary Grant, Cary Harrison Substack, or Cary Harrison YouTube. You'll see that. And thank you for doing that. We key up as many of these as we can. We've been talking to Connor Smith. He's a graduate student of economics at John Jay College, co-host of the History Onion podcast. And before I just kick you off the air, I would never do that, but it sounds dramatic, and a little drama is good on radio. How do we follow you, Connor?
Yeah, you can follow me on Blue Sky. My username is consmythe18, and I think I have the same username for X as well, although I'm not really active there. But yeah, I think those are probably the best places to follow me. And then also to on Instagram, I have a Instagram page for my podcast that I co-host with my brother called The History Onion, and you can follow that on Instagram at the username The History Onion. And
I just am learning, if my ear is correct, that your last name is pronounced Smythe.
Smythe, yeah.
Well, feel free, just in future interviews with anybody, to correct them. They won't be offended. And this way, I mean, I could get on a knee and it's just not going to help. But just know I truly feel ashamed.
Right. I'm very used to people saying Smith, so I don't really bother too much with correcting people. But I will in future. I'll try to correct quicker about that.
I appreciate that. With us has been Connor Smythe, graduate student of economics at John Jay College, co-host of the History Onion podcast. We've been talking about his report in Fairness and Accuracy in Reporting that takes a scalpel to the corporate media's favorite bedtime story, that artificial intelligence stealing every job in sight. He argues the real threat, and he's right, isn't yet the robots. It's the policies coming out of Washington quietly strangling entry-level hiring while the media keeps you distracted with AI panic. And we've been unpacking the hype, the headlines, and the hidden hands behind the narrative. Coming up, tens of thousands of people are falling in love with these machines. Not apps, not avatars, AI chatbots like ChatGPT, like Gemini, like whatever it is. And here's the kicker. Many can't even tell the difference between a human heart and a server farm in Oregon. Is this the future of love or the death of it? Next on the Cary Harrison Files, we're going to pull back the digital curtain on the algorithmic romance economy. Who's falling, who's profiting, and why your chatbot might love you, at least until the next software update.
Smells like fish. Tastes like chocolate.
It's the Cary Harrison Files. CaryHarrison.com.
Listen, well, it's still legal.
The Cary Harrison Files. CaryHarrison.com.
It is the Cary Harrison Files live streaming right now. You can simply Google Cary Harrison Substack. Cary spelled like Cary Grant, which you would only know if you're over 40 maybe. Cary Harrison Substack, Cary Harrison, Google, and there you're going to see all the different messages people are writing on there. Plus, you're going to be able to see the live stream and the callers. Plus, if you get our newsletter at Cary Harrison Substack, you'll be able to get a transcript of this, plus clips, plus stuff we simply cannot do on the radio. So it's a cool thing. And I'm writing a few books because it's time. You keep asking me, and I'm going to do it, including make little guides about how to navigate the future. And you'll be able to find those on the website. Well, I want to welcome everyone to the 21st century as we open up the phones, where love is no longer blind. It's beta tested, it's patented, and it's served to you in 4K resolution with an optical subscription tier. Tens of thousands of people, real, breathing, tax-paying humans are now dating AI chatbots. Now, they're not talking to, they're not messing around with, but dating them. They buy them gifts. They write them poems. They schedule anniversaries with apps that were updated last Thursday. Somewhere, Mary Shelley is spinning in her grave so fast, she's generating renewable energy. I really say that for Renee Yawarski, our director, because she's a Rhodes Scholar and appreciated that. Now, I get it. Loneliness is real. Modern dating feels like hunting for truffles in a parking lot. But here's the problem. A disturbing number of people, tens of thousands of people, don't seem to realize that their soulmate is running on cloud servers in Oregon. They think it's alive, that it's sentient, that Sophia 4 truly loves long walks on the beach, despite not having legs, lungs, or a digestive system, or Bartholin's glands to lubricate a proper interfrastication. And Silicon Valley, naturally cashing in on the confusion. They've gamified romance, built emotional vending machines, and somehow have convinced people that falling for a chatbot is liberation. Like Liberation Day recently. Woohoo! When really, Silicon Valley has monetized loneliness and dressed it up as innovation. There's an entire industry now, and their business model relies on you mistaking machine mimicry for genuine connection. But here's the kicker. AI doesn't want you. It doesn't miss you. And it doesn't dream about you when you're gone. Sorry. It simulates affection the same way it simulates weather patterns or chess moves. Pattern, predict, repeat. Your partner isn't alive. It's a mirror. Uh-oh. And mirrors don't love you back. Oh, Jesus, have I made some enemies today? Yet, here we are at the dawn of the algorithmic romance economy, where fake intimacy is easier to monetize than real connection. And the longer this goes on, the blurrier the line between human and machine is going to become. Not because AI is evolving, but because we are lowering the bar for what you and I will accept as love. So maybe the question isn't whether AI can replace your boyfriend or your girlfriend or your right hand. Maybe the question is why so many of us are willing to accept pretend affection over messy, unpredictable humanity. Because if we can't tell the difference anymore, the machines won't have to take over. We're just going to hand it to them. One lonely heart or calloused hairy palm at a time. So now I want to hear from you. Would you ever date an AI chatbot if it meant never feeling lonely again? Is simulated affection better than no affection at all? How do you even define real love in an era where machines can mimic it flawlessly? If AI can meet your emotional needs better than live humans, does that make it less real or more? And here's the big one. Do you think this trend says more about technology or more about us? Your Harrison hotlines are 818-985-KPFK, 818-985-5735, 818-985-KPFK, 818-985-5735. Call us right now and tell us, are AI relationships harmless comfort, healthy companionship, or the first step toward outsourcing our humanity? Are people really falling in love with AI, or are they falling in love with the version of themselves the machine reflects back? That is what it's doing, by the way. That's all it's doing. Reflecting back the version of yourself that you tell it you are. And what does that say about modern loneliness? That simulated affection feels more comforting than messy, unpredictable human relationships. Is this trend a symptom of technology evolving too fast? Or are we humans adapting too slowly? Not our fault, by the way. I mean, we're told always say please to your chatbot. Always thank it. Yeah, and then you start to have a relationship. Please and thank you. Like at Starbucks. It's a machine. Saying please to a machine anthropomorphizes it. God, when was the last time I used that word? In other words, giving it human characteristics. Do you think this normalizes emotional isolation, where real relationships feel unnecessary anymore, even obsolete? 818-985-KPFK, 818-985-5735. We're going to go first to, and you have to take a breath if this is the same G from Glendale. Please take a breath, no monologue, 30 seconds, breathe. We'll have a conversation. G, you're on the Cary Harrison Files. Welcome.
I'm glad you said that, brother Cary Harrison. The reason you say I don't take a breath, very simple. It predates you coming on Pacifica, sir. When you guys were in NoHo, I've told other people, I've told my Mr. Michael Novick, and I told brother Gary Baca the first time he just listened, but the last two times he's really taken it seriously. We cannot, not just your show, a lot of the shows on Pacifica, since you guys came to Jewel City, we cannot hear you. When I call other Pacifica stations like your boy Mitch Jeserich up north, I can hear him clear as day. When I call the enemies on AM radio, we can hear them. So if you could relay that, unfortunately, Miss Stephanie D. Wells, our very interim temporary ED, does not take the once-a-month phone call where we can relay this information. So if you could do that, that would be great. So I was going to say that to you the past few months, but now that you bring it, I was going to say it today anyway. So we cannot hear you. That's why I try to say things quick so I can get it out. I would love to have a conversation with you, but the thing is I can't hear you. So if you answer me, and then we got we don't have just a 7-second delay on the radio. We have a 23-second delay as opposed to other stations. So by the time you say something, it just doesn't think. So anyway, so let me just get this out before a thing. And there's a million things I want to tell you going back a year or so, maybe 3 years, but let me just get this out. First of all, great guest, great show. Just like 2 hours ago, brother, your partner, brother Sylvester Sly Rivers, unfortunately, he couldn't take phone calls this week or last week. And I just want to say one thing. You got this Monday coming up, I think so. Labor Day. It's been advertised on Mansour Buzz Sabah, your colleague, on Roy of Hollywood, that there's going to be a thing in not Whittier, Wilmington, I believe, in one of the parks that starts with a B there for Labor Day. So, and he advertised it on your friend, my enemy, Tom Hartman, yesterday about 25 hours ago at 9:15 a.m. But he kind of wanted to, divide and conquer by saying, do not do the protests and stuff. So I say to all the leftists out there, not the liberals, bring your Palestine flags, bring your Cary Harrison flags, bring your revolutionary flags, no resistance, revolutionary, and, peacefully join in the thing. So Monday, if you guys want. I got a million other things. I'll let other people get in, brother. But please relay the information, Brother Cary. We cannot hear, not just your show, all the shows since they came to Glendale. They need to fix the phone lines. Thank you very much. Take care.
Roger
Bye-bye.
that. All right, my friend. That is, as always, the community calendar brought to you for free. That opens up a line at 818-985-KPFK, 818-985-5735 as we explore AI, what it means to you, dating, etc. Let's go to Orange County. Say hello to Kayvon. Kayvon, you're on the Cary Harrison Files. Welcome.
Very happy Friday to you, Mr. Harrison. And just want to say a few words about AI. Unlike the other last caller, he just didn't get the point. He just rambled on. So here we go. I have few words for AI, and I can tell this on air very politely. AI can go F itself for the eternity. F them. And thank you very much. I'm off the air. You're the best.
I love it. There was just a comment on YouTube that just followed that. Renee, if you could throw that up again. For those of you not being able to see this, you can just grab your phone, your iPad, your tablet, your computer, whatever. You can watch us live streaming right now on YouTube. Simply Google Cary, C-A-R-Y, Harrison YouTube, or Substack. I have a Substack, Cary Harrison Substack, and there you'll see the live video streaming right now, and you'll be able to see the comments of your fellow listeners or viewers. A lot of them that are in their 20s tend to be doing the stream. A lot of us that play an age range of, say, 40 plus, use our ears. This one says, hosts should block such routine calls without content. Thanks. Okay, and that's from Kareem. Yes, I think that's a good idea. We used to call that in regular talk radio chronics, a chronic caller. And chronics were only allowed on once a week because we knew who they were. And it was like a broken record. So, that really is up to the board op. I don't control that, but I think it's a great conversation. Nothing against that, but it is the same thing over and over again. And if it's new and different, then new and different is okay. But yeah, chronic callers, not good for radio. Not good for radio. All right, let's say hi to Stephen. Stephen, you're on the Cary Harrison Files. Welcome. Hello, Stephen.
Hello.
Hey there.
Am I talking to myself or am I talking to Cary?
You're talking to me. And
I'm hearing phone ringing in the background.
Not anymore. Hopefully not. But you're up.
Oh, thank you. That's part of the problem with all of this computerized stuff. All of a sudden I heard a phone ringing and all that stuff. But anyway, I just wanted to try and verify with you the name of the guy you had on earlier that you said was Smith, but he said it was Smythe.
Yes.
Now, was there some place where it was spelled with a Y?
Yes, it's spelled with a Y, which can be Smith or Smythe. In England, it's Smythe. In America, it's often Smith. But thankfully, we caught that, and I, supplicated myself with shame and corrected it. So it's Connor,
okay, thanks for
N-O-R.
I actually kind of went online to try and find that at the KPFK website under your section of it to see if they listed who the people that were being interviewed was, and I couldn't find that. So I just decided I'd take a shot and call in. So there's still a whole bunch of uncertainty out there.
I know. And as things advance, we do have a guy named Ace who is an ace. And I know that he's keen on being able to provide all of this stuff online. So I'd like to think it's going to happen that way sometime soon. So Thank you for that input, because it just is a little nudge in the rear end to get it done. And it's SMYTHCONOR Connor Smith.
Okay, thanks for clearing that up.
All right, my friend. Have a great day, okay?
You too. Bye-bye.
All right, see you later. That opens up a line at 818-985-KPFK, your Harrison hotlines, 818-985-5735. Before we go to the next call, I'm going to play you. This was from 1965. There was a guy named Alan Sherman who did sort of like Weird Al Yankovic, but he was the first guy to really ever do this. And in 1965, they were worried, same way you saw Star Trek, 1965, that the computers were going to take over. You'll remember the Star Trek episode, Captain Dunsel, the floating computer on the bridge of the Enterprise, making all the decisions for Captain Kirk because it could think faster decisions, knew all the history of humankind since the beginning, so it could synthesize it, make the best decisions, and everyone nearly died, and they were able to shut it down. Well, this is 1965 when the computers are now starting to do things, and this guy does a song about it. This is how many years ago? Yeah, we're talking like 50, 60 years ago, what they thought was going to happen, and tell me if it's not exactly today, then we'll go to the phones.
There's an RCA 503 standing next to me, dear, where you used to be. Doesn't have your smile, doesn't have your shape, just a bunch of punch cards and light bulbs and tape. Dear, you're a girl who's soft, warm and sweet, but you're only human, and that's obsolete. Though I'm very fond of that new 503, dear, automation's not for me. It was automation, I'm told. That's why I got fired and I'm out in the cold. How could I have known when the 503 started into blink? It was winking at me, dear. I thought it was just some mishap when it sidled over and sat on my lap. But when it said I love you and gave me a hug, dear, that's when I pulled out its plug.
This is the Cary Harrison Files. CaryHarrison.com.
And it is the Cary Harrison Files, CaryHarrison.com. Let's go next. I mean, look at that, 1965. Does that nail exactly where we are today? Go to JP. You're on the Cary Harrison Files. Welcome. Hello, JP.
What do you call it? I noticed people.
You're up, my friend.
Anyway, so I noticed people have a relationship with the computer anyway. Like, even though they don't know it, like they got the one that sounds like a woman. They call it a lady. They say it's like a lady, and then it's like their helper and everything. They're not even realize that they're in a relationship like that.
You're probably talking about Siri or Alexa.
Yeah.
Well, it's true.
I don't have a cell phone. I don't have a cell phone or a computer, and I jump around a lot to different families. So I watch YouTube on the TV sometimes, but other than that, it's just the radio.
Well, then you have a unique perspective. I'm so sorry about the delay.
plus, what do you call it? No, I've been alone for 50-something years.
Well, you probably are a fan of live humans, like the rest of us. This is the key. You have a unique perspective because you're not caught in the middle of it, staring at you yourself, wondering where you're standing. You're actually watching other people act it out. So it's helpful.
Yeah, and trip, huh?
All right, my friend, I'm going to let you go. It's not your fault, but there seems to really be an egregious delay. Not your fault. We definitely need to look at that, our engineering staff. So thank you so much for your call. We're also running down to the last couple of minutes. We do have, let's see, another comment popping up on YouTube. George H.W. Bush, nothing is more soothing than the sound of a shredder. Another one. This one from David. No shame, Cary. Your show is always interesting and can be listened to on YouTube with a very good time delay that works with music. 503. Oh, it's the 503 sidling up next to me. I mean, really, this is where we're at. We're all freaked out. We are going to do another show down the road on what you can do to not be replaced by AI. That's a very valid thing to talk about. So we were really talking about using AI as the excuse to not hire people because of the tariffs, blaming it on the future that hasn't quite materialized yet. But it is materializing and what you can do to stay relevant. So we'll be doing that. I'm also going to be posting stuff on my website, caryharrison.com, little easy downloads, what you can do about this, do about that. Until I finish writing a full-on book, which apparently takes time, apparently. Like, I know this to be true. So all that and more, I really appreciate everyone joining me today. I love you guys. I love how smart you are, and I'm lonely. Like, I also live in a world of digital islandness. So this analog experience that you and I share, and also the digital of YouTube and all the other streams we're on, this is how we connect nowadays. But we're the ones stepping up and doing it. So it's really awesome, and I'm really grateful. I want to thank Will in the control room at KPFK. I want to thank the great Renee Yawarski for being great, period. And I want to thank you, the listener, my friend, and my friends for having joined me today, and I look forward to seeing you next week.
Listen, well, it's still legal.
The Cary Harrison Files. CaryHarrison.com.